You think it's possible to create peace on earth by 2030?
Um, I hesitate when I answer that. My answer would be yes. And I also believe for peace to be there, there's often still the balance needed that there's often no peace, which is kind of disparity in itself. Peace only exists because there's no peace. And if you know what I mean, in thinking
Mhm.
in that level. And I think I do not believe in the fact that we will come to a point of peace. I believe that we can come to a state of working towards peace. And that I find a different perspective of just saying we're all good, everyone's peaceful and happy with each other. I think we'll come to a higher consciousness and awareness in this world where our strive towards peace will be a stronger one than the one to create diversity to one that yeah
Devices.
that keeps us separated from each other, or that will create more conflict. I think that's where we'll come to. So that's why I hesitate when I say, will we come there? Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Well, then what stands in the way?
Um, Indifference. I think one of the biggest things that stands in the way is indifference, the unknown. I think what also stands in the way is not being able to confront ourselves with the bigger questions in life that we have. Bigger questions include, what we believe in, what we stand in. Are we able to change our own paradigms? Are we able to open ourselves up to different opinions? And if I look very personally if I look at my own world, if I look at my own social media, if I look at my own Facebook, I have created a bubble for myself that I do not have people like Trump supporters or Wilders supporters or any of them. They're not in my field. They're not in my circle. So which means I'm a part of the problem because of the fact that I don't easily engage into those conversations as well. And it becomes out of a fear because if I start that, I'm afraid for how they'll attack me on my beliefs. So one of the things that in the way, and there's many different things, but this is one of the things, is that to be able to actually start engaging in the conversations with the people that we want to connect with. And I think on a very, there's plenty of these beautiful examples, like that guy, there was the African-American who went to have conversations with people from the Ku Klux Klan, and even was able to bring them towards an understanding like, maybe we shouldn't be sticking with this principled way of working. Maybe we need to open ourselves to different ones. I think that's the level that we can get to. So what stands in our way is our own limitations and the conversations that we're not having.
Got it. Got it. So can you imagine how we might overcome those?
Um, Very simply, I think there's the big, larger goal that we have in mind, which is about creating a larger movement, larger awareness. But what I like to do more is to make it so small and so micro that we need to think of our daily interactions, think of our daily conversations, having the conversations with the people that you usually wouldn't have conversation with, not going straight into the conflict and feeling personally attacked, but just to understand why somebody feels or thinks in a certain way. And I think if we can get ourselves there, if we can say, okay, what is it? Try just purely trying to understand each other. Somebody getting upset in public transport, for example, just to say, hey, what's going on? Why are you upset? What is it that you need right now? How can I help you? That in itself could already just change. If we all come to that part of awareness, that I think is the way we can overcome it. So on a larger scale, of course, that's what I'm working on as well, getting people, organizations to become more aware of the impact that they're having. But on a very personal level, it just comes to how you are with yourself, most of all, because it's because of our own insecurities, because of our lack of confidence, because of our feeling, our comparing ourselves to others, where we get insecure, and then you get angry, or you start to take actions which will create more division. And then there's a level of how do I deal with other people, and how do we deal with each other. So there's many different levels to work on, but what I always personally feel, what I try to do for myself, is start with me, then how I am with the other, and from that point onwards go further. So even with the work that I do, just to finish this trail of thought, there's there's a saying that I once heard, which is you teach that which you wish to learn the most. I
Right.
want to learn how to become an example myself. Therefore, I also work on creating, developing programs that help people to become examples themselves. So I'm constantly learning in this. I'm not there yet. I don't think I ever will be. And I think even in 2030, I definitely won't be, but I will be in a different state of consciousness that I can hopefully be more aware of creating a more peaceful state for myself and for the people around me.
God, that is beautiful. That is so perfect.
Okay.
May it be so. May it happen to me too with you. May we do that together, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. More the merrier.
Yeah. So then, okay, you just beautifully answering these questions here. So, what do you most want for your organization to contribute to creating peace on earth? You talked about what you want to contribute, and I got that.
Yeah.
It's clear.
So what I would want for better future, and I think it's not only better future, but it's also the organizations that we partner with and the people that I've worked with before, or even Compassion for Care that I was a part of founding back, about 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Um, what I want most of all is for us to be able to connect more with people and organizations that are working on the same. I don't per se believe we need to have bigger organizations in itself. I think we need to have much more collaboration. And if I see this kind of wheel that you've created as well with all these different people coming together, that's where the power lies. The power lies not in bigger is better. It's more about bringing it all together and like collectively synergizing ourselves towards one collective goal, and we all aspire towards the same thing. And I think we can all, there's enough of the pie for us all to be able to have a piece. So working towards that, and I think that's the thing that that I know Better Future is working towards too. It's not about us becoming big because we're not a large organization. What we are is trying to think of a very smart way of bringing people together. An example of what we did last is we brought all the B Corp organizations within the Netherlands, not all of them, but people that we had good contact with, all together for a dinner for them to each share about how each person or each organization is trying to have a positive impact on society, or with the products that they use. But by bringing these people together, it's also about finding how collaborations can work. For example, the carpets that we have is from an organization that's trying to have zero waste. The booklets that we use, that people use notebooks within our programs, they're made 80% out of rock by a company called Paper on the Rocks, which is using less wood. So I mean, it's all kind of, with everything you do, you think about the footprint, you think about who you can work with and collaborate with, and you find a way to kind of circle it back towards a better economy, a better footprint on the world, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that consciousness and connecting these worlds together is our way of getting there.
Perfect. That's exactly what Sign is. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are doing it. You're creating that synergized
Yeah.
impact. So that's such a great example. All right. So are there any other key insights you have to share on how we can all work together to create peace on earth by 2030?
Okay, not a small question, John. No, no.
Well,
I
you
think
said so many good things already. This is just
no. So what comes to mind, I think, is for us to be able to create peace on earth, it is our conscious behavior on how we live our lives. And that, I think, goes back to an earlier answer, is when I wake up in the morning, like they say, you should meditate, do sports and whatnot, but there is a reason behind that. There's research that showed why meditation, why creating an intention, why thinking about the food that I eat and what food it is and where that food comes from. I know it's a lot of things to think about, but once you have thought about it and you know what it is, then you eat what is good for you. You breathe in a way that is deeper and that fills your lungs more, that gives you more oxygen. You move in a way that keeps you healthy. You interact with people that give you a fulfilling feeling, whether that be the feeling of connection, collaboration, the oxytocin that you get from it, et cetera, et cetera. But in everything we do, if we become just a tiny level more conscious, I know that peace will be there because of that. And I think with the work that I try to do is to help people become conscious on different levels. But I think more so, we're all hungering to a higher awareness so that we can live more fulfilling and meaningful lives. So I think if we can create meaning in our lives, find that meaning, finding that purpose, and purpose is always a big word, and passion is always a big word. But it's just about becoming, allowing ourselves to dig a little deeper into ourselves, and then finding a way that we can contribute towards the world in whichever way possible. It can be towards your next door neighbor, or it can be towards this huge, large NGO trying to do some big project. But it's not about the level. It's just about you taking tiny actions to be able to move something forward. And I think that's how we get there. Yeah.